So really, if you were going to sum it all up, it comes down to three things. Number one, figure out where you are. Most people have no clue where they are, especially financially. Figure out where you are in terms of your health, relationships, your job, everything in life. Figure out where you are, figure out where you want to be, and do this on paper. Write things down, and then figure out what you're willing to give up in order to get what you want. Most people don't think in success in terms of giving up. They think in terms of getting. But if you're going to get healthier, you got to give up the things that are making you unhealthy. If you're going to get more financially secure, you got to give up the things that are keeping you broke. Across the board, it comes down to giving up things. People don't like to think that way, but that's what it really requires.
Now, there was probably a time that you were working this all out. So tell me about this
Shoot,
stuff.
I'm the biggest screw up that ever was.
Yeah.
And that's what I talk about in all my books. I mean, I do have 5 bestsellers there: personal development, business, parenting now, personal finance. And what I do is use myself as the example. I mean, I wrote a book called People Are Idiots and I Can Prove It, and saying I was the idiot extraordinaire in the whole thing. The key is you can make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes, and I made plenty of them. Just learn from your mistakes. The people that do it over and over and over again, making the same mistake every single time, holy crap, wake up, pay attention to what's going on. Once you've made that mistake, stop, assess why it happened, figure out what you need to do so it doesn't happen again, and then start over. Forgive yourself and move on.
When you were 18 and knew everything,
Yep.
what were you going to be at this age?
You know, I didn't know what I was going to be, and see, I think that's one of the mistakes people make. They're trying to figure out what and how, instead figure out why. I was 13 years old. I went into my 8th grade class, and somebody looked up and said, "Winget, are you so poor you only have one pair of jeans?" And that was true. I did. I had one pair of jeans.
You were an Okie from Muskogee,
I
right?
really was an Okie from Muskogee, grew up dirt poor, and it humiliated me. And at that moment, I figured I was never going to be humiliated for being poor again. I was going to get rich. Didn't know how I was going to get rich. Didn't have that as an example. Didn't know what it was going to take. I just knew I was going to do it. See, what people try to figure out is, how am I going to do this stuff? Really, I can go on Google, type in "how do I," and put in anything in the world and get 1,000 answers. The key is not how you're going to be successful, or how you're going to get rich, or how you're going to get healthy, or any of those things. The key is why. Always determine why. Because if you know why, then you can deal with any how that comes up.
And what was your why?
At that point in my life, the getting rich part, after being 13 years old and humiliated, is that I was never going to be embarrassed for my financial situation again. So I had a very strong determination to do whatever it took in order so I would never be financially embarrassed.
What were some of those everythings?
Everything? I tell you what, my key to success has been very, very simple. I just worked my ass off.
Yeah.
No matter
Some
what anybody else
yeah.
did, I worked harder. No matter what I was doing, I worked harder. I would start earlier, stay later, study more, and that's a big part of it. I mean, self-education. In the last 20 years, I've read 4,000 books.
Wow.
I don't know anybody who's read more books than I have. I heard 20 years ago Earl Nightingale say, if you read 500 books on any given topic, you will be a world-class expert. That really appealed to me. My ego stepped in and said, world-class expert, I need to do that. And so I started reading.
What are some of the ways, what are some of the paths that brought you to this? What was Larry 1.0 and Larry 2.0?
Larry 1.0 was sort of truly a ignorant redneck from Muskogee, Oklahoma, small town kid, you know, just with a dream. Larry 2.0 was going into the business world and working harder than everybody else, figuring out I was going to do whatever it took and studying real hard. Larry 3.0 was after I'd become successful in the business world. I lost everything and went bankrupt and lost my business and went to work one morning a rich guy, and then the government ruled that what I did for a living wasn't going to be legal or grandfathered, then turned it back over to the phone company. So really, I lost everything in the world I had.
Wow.
So here I'd grown up broke, figured out how to get rich, then went bankrupt. And then went from broke to rich to bankrupt to multimillionaire just because I was willing, again, to step in, reinvent myself, and become a professional speaker, and worked harder at that than anybody else. And then 10 years ago, I had the newer version of the Larry Winget thing, which was stop saying what everybody else is saying, stop saying what I didn't even believe, all that positive attitude crap, start telling people the truth. And that pretty much is that life sucks. And you got to take advantage of wherever you are, no matter what you're facing. Stop whining about it and just get after it.
Yeah.
And that kind of revelation in my own life, my willingness to say that from the stage, kind of set me apart. And that's when I wrote a #1 bestseller called Shut Up, Stop Whining, and Get a Life, and 5 more since then. So, and that's what put me on television, and it's what made me throw away the ties and the suits and all that and start saying to hell with it. That's how I want to dress. I'm going to.
What was the tie and suit job? What was the first, the business that grew for you and then went away?
Well, I was with Southwestern Bell when I became area sales manager for AT&T for the state of Kansas, and then divestiture, I left that and started my own telecommunications company. And so I was in the telephone business for a good long while, and that's what went away on me. And that's when I decided really all I'd ever wanted my whole life was an audience. So being a speaker just made sense. I'd written a lot of training material, sales training material for the phone company, and trained all my salespeople. So I just went into the speaking business as a professional sales trainer. So, and then it evolved into this because people thought I was funny. Found out it paid more to make people laugh than to teach them how to sell. And then, like I said, 10 years ago, I kind of let my attitude start to show, and that's when I really became successful.
Yeah.
I discovered that people don't really pay attention to what you have to say, and they don't even believe what you have to say. They just pay attention to see if you believe what you have to say. And that's what people are willing to pay a premium for. Somebody who's willing to say whatever they think, whether somebody else approves of it or not. It's what they really believe. It's their core principle of integrity and honesty with who they are. I'm willing to do that.